on every show, and let's go for it while we can go for it. That is one of the reasons I came to AEW is let's maximize what I got left while I got it.
What's going on, y'all? Liam Crowley with Screen Rant here with the one and only rated R superstar, Mr. Adam Copeland. Adam, thank you so much for taking the time, and congrats on your big return from this past weekend.
Thanks. Appreciate it, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, you as well. So I got to know, for starters, how'd you keep this one a secret?
We kept it as secret as we could, but there was also the aspect of, well, we want to be able to advertise that I'm going to be in Asheville for Fight for the Fallen. It's our first, show that's streaming on Max, and it's a big deal. So we kind of wanted to get something out there, hence the FTR promo saying we won't be coming alone. But I thought that would at least lead people off the trail of, well, he won't be at World's End then. And I'm sure some people went, I bet you. But anytime you can get, surprise nowadays in the wrestling business with, just the social media aspect and, people see you in an airport or something, that kind of thing. So it was nice to be able to do that again, because I really enjoyed doing that. Basically because I look at it as a wrestling fan. When I was a wrestling fan, if I were surprised, I loved that. I loved the feeling of being surprised and, jumping up and just having the unexpected. I think that's one thing that the wrestling business can always provide is surprises.
Very much so. And you're coming out guns blazing. You set your sights on the biggest dog in AEW right now, that being Jon Moxley. Dog, an appropriate word to use, former member of the Hounds of Justice, the Shield. You wrestled Roman, you wrestled Seth back in WWE. What's your relationship like with Moxley? Are you familiar with his work? What you've just...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been a fan of his work from the first time I saw him, honestly. Some people just have intangibles and he has them. Sometimes it's just somebody has that thing, right? And he has it. So, and I love his style and I love the way he wrestles. So to me, it was a no-brainer that at some point we had to try and get to this kind of marquee match. Never happened before. It's the first time ever. With his history, with my history, it felt like something that we had to get going on. And for me coming back, it felt like the right time to press that button and say, okay, let's go and let's go for the heavyweight championship. And let's have some of these things that I didn't focus on first coming in. It was really just get there, show what I'm all about in this incarnation, and and then take it from there. But it feels like, okay, now it's time to put the foot to the gas pedal.
Yeah, and I find the story so fascinating too, because everything that Moxley's been doing in storyline right now is challenging those AEW originals to step up. And that's like the antithesis of who you are, because obviously you made your name in another company, but more than that, you've been a guy who's never had an issue with stepping up in your career. A member of the SmackDown 6, ran wild with the World Heavyweight Championship and all that, came into AEW guns blazing and ratings went through the roof. I believe you and Christian sold out the Scotiabank Arena over in Toronto. Like, you've never had an issue with stepping up. So my question on that front is, when you're challenging Moxley in this storyline that's so focused on the originals and guys who need to step up, how do you factor into that? Why are you the right guy for the job?
Well, I think that's the idea of this is it's not for AEW. This is purely from the standpoint of a guy who sees a guy making choices that maybe he's made in the past and realizes they're not the right choices. And heavy is the head and, whine and complain about being champion. Give it to me. Done it 11 times. I'll do it again. That's the mentality is, with the resume, with all of the history and everything, it's time to to go for it, and not apologize for it. Yeah. Want the AEW championship. Damn right. Who wouldn't? And of course, that's my character has always been obsessed with the gold. Always. That's nothing new. That's what the story is about. It's not about the defense of a company. That gets old. You can only do that so long. And okay, yeah, we love the company. I get it. This ain't about that. This is about, okay, you think you're the top dog? I know I am. So let's go.
Awesome. I love that sentiment. A guy you beat a lot for championships over the course of your career is John Cena. I believe your first world title was beating Cena when you cashed in the Money in the Bank. Cena's going on this retirement tour starting very, very soon. He's one of your most storied rivals in your career. Have you had a conversation with John just about, what it's like to hang it up and have this farewell tour?
No, but we had talked briefly, when he came back there and I was with WWE, and he said, how are you doing this, man? Like, you're having half an hour matches and stuff. And, it was, but we haven't talked about retiring or anything like that, but John is very, he's thought this through. And he's thought of every scenario and every conceivable, direction and all of those things. He's an intelligent man. So, I'm sure he's already come to terms, and I think he's been coming to terms with it for a long time.
Yeah, one of my favorite.
I think it'll be harder for the fan base to come to terms, which usually ends up being the case.
That is true. One of my favorite promos you ever cut was when you confronted him back in 2012. You got to find that John Cena.
Yeah.
We're polar opposites. I get that. But no matter all of our differences, we both love this. And I find that so fascinating because as opposite as your characters can be, you both have such similar trajectories, especially with the Hollywood aspect right now. Adam, you knew it was coming. I got to talk a little bit Percy with you. It was recently said, you filmed some scenes for season 2. How did it just feel to be back on set and back with this bunch?
It felt great, because the first season we filmed everything and it felt like this is a good show, but you still don't fully know until you see the finished product. So fast forward to December of 2023 and you see it, and we're at the premiere and everything, and my girls are there and we watched it, and it kind of blew me away. And I felt so honored to be a part of the world and the Percy Jackson world, and to be brought into it. Seeing that finished product really, it hit home with me. And then once you get out and about and you start having families come up and grandparents come up and kids coming up and asking if I'm Aries, or if I'm Adam Copeland, and not due to wrestling, that's when I realized the show was onto something. And then, now 16 Emmy nominations, and it's pretty mind blowing, just to be a part of the whole thing. And I realize that actors wait their entire careers to get on a show like this, and some never do. So I don't look past it at all. And I realize what a gift I've been given with the writing and with the character of Aries, because it's the kind of character that is just open for exploration. There's really no handcuffs with this character. Don't get me wrong, there's some, we're Disney, but but just in terms of like facials and movements and big, and just making everything feel really big, which is what wrestling is all about, So yeah, it's been a pretty crazy ride. It felt good to get out there and film some scenes for this season. And it's not a tough gig, man. I fly to Vancouver, one of my favorite cities. I spend time with great people. I have loads of friends out there, so it feels like a homecoming every time I go. And I love working with the cast, with the crew. It's just a phenomenal group of people who all have the same goal.
Yeah, big time. And I love how many parallels there are between, Adam Copeland in ring and Aries on screen, because you mentioned earlier, like obsessed with gold. The first thing I think of is the golden ichor dripping out of your hands. Season 1, it's like literally he's got gold in his veins. This character is crazy. How does it feel? How does it feel tonally compared to season 1? Because I remember a lot of season 1 stuff, it was definitely catered to that younger demographic. Walker he looks like he's aged 5 years since season 1. Yeah. It feels like we're getting to a level where maybe the color palette tones down a little bit, and we get some of those more serious, mature themes. Did you feel that at all on season 2?
Well, I think just with the characters naturally growing older, there becomes more serious issues, right? But they're following the books, but there's always going to be some things added in, like the diner scene, in the first season that wasn't in the books. But I'm so happy it was included in the scripts, because that's what I auditioned with. And I went, oh, there's so much fun to be had here. I think there's always going to be fun in this show. How can it not be when you look at what is happening and going on and the fantastical nature of everything. But yeah, the kids are growing and they're not so much kids anymore. Right. So I think it naturally follows the progression of what happens to you as you're going through your teens. And I think that's why the books always connected, because I feel like people saw a bit of themselves in these characters and the awkward phases that you go through. But if you got friends, it doesn't feel quite as awkward. And I feel like at the heart of Percy Jackson, that's really what they're about.
It seems like, so much gets added, so much gets, one adaptation. Something I'm hoping gets included selfishly is there's a scene in the Sea of Monsters book where Clarice and Ares have that conversation. And I don't know if you recall, Adam, but the first time we spoke at the premiere, I introduced you to Dior. She was standing up to the side on the carpet. That's one of my favorite clips I've ever been a part of in my career. So if we get to see that happen on screen, I know you can't say much, but I'll be waiting with bated breath for that scene if it does come to fruition. One thing I'll wrap up with, Adam, obviously, I remember, I think you spoke with my good friend Chris Van Vliet a couple months ago about your contract being up in around 18 months or so. Either way, you've said at length that this will be your last contract. You're going to hang it up after this. Yeah. Going into 2025, are you looking to hit those weekly TV matches and keep pumping out big in-ring bouts, or are you kind of waiting for the pay-per-views? What's your in-ring schedule going to look like in 2025?
To me, it's let's squeeze as much juice as we can out of this, and I have a list of people that I want to work, and it's quite a few. So I'd like to just kind of get back into trucking the way I was before. And I think now with Rated FTR and those different elements, well, now you can get some really fun combinations. And you got three guys who are amazing friends who have natural chemistry. I'm really looking forward to seeing what we can create as a trio. So that's going to be really fun. But yeah, just throw me on every show and let's go for it while we can go for it. That is one of the reasons I came to AEW is let's maximize what I got left while I got it. So that's my plan anyway, going forward, is just to get in with as many different talent as I can, and also try and craft some really, really cool stories in that process too, because that's probably my favorite aspect of what we do is creating and compiling and putting moving parts into stories, and how many characters can we get involved, and then they segue out and this one comes in. I love that.
Want to know what you really won today? An enemy for life. Congrats.